is turning 250, and it's time to rock out with our forefathers. American-made, battle-ready style for true patriots. Whether you're marching in the parade, grilling in the backyard, or raising a toast to liberty, do it in the gear that screams freedom. Celebrate 250 years of USA in style. Wear your American pride loud. Trendjackers.etsy.com. Grab yours before the fireworks.
From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also presented by Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. By Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at coachescollectiblesny.com. And by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. Hi again, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Sports Bash. I'm Peter Schwartz. 516-465-3990 is the number to call, as always, here on the show. So make sure you're subscribing to Govs Comedy Club podcast channel on YouTube and follow Sports Bash Media on X, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also listen to Sports Bash on Apple Music and Spotify. Coming up on the show, and we got a couple of really good guests here on the show today. We're going to talk a little Yankees baseball coming up in about 20 minutes or so. Brian Hoke, a repeat guest here on the show. He covers the Yankees for MLB, and he'll join us here. We'll find out from him what direction the Yankees will go in here during the offseason. There's already been a signing. Ryan Yarbrough re-signed, so the Yankees added another pitcher back for next year. And there's been all kinds of rumors as to where the Yankees might go with Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker, and other imports from Japan are on the table as well. So we'll get Brian's insight on that a little bit later in the show. And then later on in the show, this is something new for me. I've interviewed in 35, 36 years of doing sports radio and being a sports writer and all the different things that I do, I have interviewed just about anything that has to do with sports, whether it's the 4 major sports, niche sports, journalists, business side of things. Pro wrestlers have been on this show. I've covered pro wrestling events. Never in my 36 years of doing this have I ever interviewed an acrobat. Well, that's going to change here on the show. So you don't even have to be a sports fan to appreciate this. If you watch, or if you're a fan of that show, America's Got Talent, and I love watching that show with my wife. That's an absolute blast seeing. And sometimes you watch it for the really bad ones that don't make it onto the show. Like you watch the crappy auditions and stuff like that. But you see some real great performances on that show. And one of the great performances years ago was this lady who goes by the name Red Panda. And she became an instant hit and really within the sports world. So she performs a lot at NBA games and other basketball games and sporting events. And I will tell you, it never wound up happening because, as you all know, what happened with the football team that I was running for 5 months, she was actually going to perform at one of our games at Nassau Coliseum. And in fact, she was signed on to do performances at all 4 arenas in our ill-fated league during that season. So I thought we were going to get a chance to see her in person, but of course it didn't work out. But she's going to be here on the show. And the reason why she's on the show is that there's a college basketball doubleheader, a State Farm college basketball doubleheader at Madison Square Garden tonight. She's going to be performing at those games tonight. We'll tell you about that a little bit later on. But Red Panda is going to join us on the show. And I know Tony Walker, who's my producer, and you just heard him host the Knock 'em Dead comedy show that he does Monday through Fridays from 11 to 12:30. Have you ever rode on a unicycle before? Because I know back in the day you were a really good dancer because you danced at a New York Saints game. But have you ever in your life ever ridden a unicycle?
I'm still waiting to get that attachment and see how that works. But no, I can't say that I have.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not above my pay grade over the course of my career. And again, like it's going to be interesting. I've got some things to ask her, and whenever I do like an interview that's kind of like off the beaten path, well, people will say, "Well, how are you going to do that?" And I'm like, "Well, you just do research." Because I think I've told the story here on the show. Years ago, in fact, it was right after 9/11, the New York City Marathon, the first New York City Marathon after 9/11. So it was November of 2001. So that day was the New York City Marathon. The Giants had a home game at Giant Stadium that I had to cover for ESPN Radio. That night was Game 7 of the World Series between the Yankees and the Diamondbacks. Wow. So a few weeks before the marathon, my boss at ESPN Radio says, "Peter, on Marathon Sunday, we would like you to host a 1-hour show at the start of the New York City Marathon." And I said, "Oh, all right." I hosted a lot of shows on ESPN Radio. It's not like I didn't host shows before, but that was a little out of left field for me because, and I remember saying to my boss, "Well, can you look at me? Do you think I've run a marathon in my life? Like, what could I and Tony is laughing. Right, like, what could I possibly add to a show about the New York City Marathon?" And, well, you'll be hosting it with, I always forget this lady's name, and she was with the New York Roadrunners Club, and I got to remember her name. I didn't even know I was going to bring this up. I would have looked up her name. But you're going to be hosting the show. Lady is going to be with you as the expert on running. Got it. And of course, when you do something like that, you have to do a little homework, which I did. Who's the defending, winners for both the men and the women's division, and some of the other things that go along the pageantry of the New York City Marathon. And then I spoke to the lady on the phone that a couple of days later, and she said, "I have some really good news for you." And I said, "What?" "Mayor Giuliani is going to join us on the show there at the table where we're doing the thing." Oh, that's great. So I'm like, but wait a minute. How is the mayor going to be doing the show if he's been following the Yankees around all over the place? So he was in Arizona the night before for Game 6, the Yankees got waxed in Game 6, if you remember. They went to Arizona with the 3-2 lead, and then they got waxed. I think Andy Pettitte got roughed up in that Game 6. So they were going to a Game 7. So Mayor Giuliani took his charter plane back to New York for the start of the marathon, and I did the interview with him, with the woman who, again, I feel bad, I can't remember what her name was. I'll look it up. We do the interview, which was pretty cool. I mean, again, like to take politics out of it. When you have an opportunity to interview the mayor of New York City at the start of the New York City Marathon, I don't care what your political views are, that's a pretty cool thing to be able to do. And then after the interview, he was at the start of the race, and he got on a plane, went back to Arizona for Game 7. Wow. And, of course, we know how that ended. So that's how I kind of feel today. Like I'm interviewing an acrobat, and I'm like, what the hell am I going to ask her? And then I said, we'll just have some fun with it for a few minutes at around 1:40, and we'll talk to her about how she got through America's Got Talent and the success she's had. And she's all over the place. She really is. I went on, again, you do your research for these things. You go on YouTube, and she's performed at all these different places. And I'm going to bring it up now because I don't want to embarrass her when she's on. But there was, not long ago, there was a game that she was performing at, and she fell off the unicycle. Only time ever it happened. I think she got slightly injured on it. So I'm only bringing it up now because I don't want to bring it up. I don't think it's fair to bring it up when we talk to her because we want to make sure we cover, why she's here in New York and the success she's had. But yes, there's a video of her, and we're not going to show that. That wasn't one of the clips that we pulled for the interview later on. But looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun. And maybe we'll ask her how big of a she seems to be a big basketball fan because she always seems to be performing at NBA games. And you'll see some clips later in the show. She's at a Phoenix Suns game, and I think we have her at a Dallas Mavericks game. So that should be fun later on in the show. And also, of course, the other things that we do here on the program. We have the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We'll have what's hot at ticketbash.com and the Coach's Collectibles item of the week. We're also going to talk about what happened last night at Madison Square Garden. WWE Raw was at the Garden last night, and it was a pretty significant one because it was John Cena's last Raw. In fact, he only has 2 more appearances left for WWE at Survivor Series. And then his last match will be on Saturday night's main event on December 13th in Washington, D.C. But last night was his last Raw, and it took place appropriately at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, which has been, a mecca for WWF and WWE events over the years. So he came out to start the show last night. But one of the headlines, even for people who don't follow wrestling, involved the New York Giants. And we'll talk to you about that a little bit later on in the show. But I wanted to start the sports angle for everything today with the Jets, because the Jets are going to be in Baltimore this Sunday, and they will have Tyrod Taylor as their starting quarterback. And if you watched Thursday night's game in New England, which I did not, full disclosure, I did not watch the game. It's the only game this year that I did not watch 1 second of it. And the reason why was I was at the Marty Lyons Foundation Gala. So that's the reason why I didn't watch the game. And of course, I didn't even bother taping it because I kind of knew what was going to happen. But it was such a putrid offensive performance again from Justin Fields that really they had no choice but to go to Tyrod Taylor. But here's the thing, and again, I get why they went to Taylor. He's a veteran quarterback. He has started in the NFL before. And even though the Jets aren't going anywhere, you owe it to the other players on that offense, the skill position players, some of which are new, who they just brought in. You owe it to them to at least make that offense seem somewhat successful the rest of the way. It's not like the Jets are going to run off all these wins at the end of the year with a new quarterback and sneak their way into the playoffs. It's certainly not going to happen. But what it does is it gives, the offensive line has played well this year. You've got some skill position players. You're going to get Garrett Wilson back at some point here. You want to at least, and also you want to be somewhat representative for your fans who show up to go watch the games and people who stay at home and watch the games on TV. So I think it was the right move to go to Tyrod Taylor here. The Jets are 2-8. So there's 7 games left in the season. Players are going to be fighting for the opportunity to come back to the Jets next year. They're going to be fighting for a possibility to go to another team because they want it on their film, on their tapes. So there is something for the Jets to play for in the last 7 games of the season. And I understand why you go to Tyrod Taylor. But here's what I hope Aaron Glenn, the head coach of the Jets, does before the end of the season. And it's no question the Jets are going to draft a quarterback. They have 3 first-round picks. We'll see where they finish with their own pick. Right now, I think they would pick 5th in the draft. And we're going to talk about the NFL draft and the prospects on Thursday, and we'll tell you about that guest later in the show. But it's important for the Jets to be representative for the rest of this season and also with a look to the future. They're going to draft a quarterback. And if for whatever reason they don't draft a quarterback with any of their 3 first-round picks in 2026, they've got 2 first-round picks in 2027. But for the immediate future, it's Tyrod Taylor, the veteran backup, but also you have an undrafted free agent on the roster, and his name is Brady Cook, and he played at Missouri. And I thought in training camp and in the preseason games, I thought he showed a little something. So I think the Jets would be doing themselves a disservice if they didn't, at some point during the final 7 games of the season, that they didn't at least give Brady Cook a look. I mean, what's it going to hurt? Now, you want to give Tyrod Taylor, 3 or 4 starts here, see what he can do. But at some point late in the season, I think the Jets owe it to themselves to at least give him a look. And I'm talking about Brady Cook. Because what if, and I know it's a big what if, but what if Brady Cook is a player? What if you found this diamond in the rough, an undrafted free agent? What if you got so freaking lucky that you have this quarterback on your roster that could be a quarterback for you? I'm not saying he's going to be. I'm just saying what if. Because not every great quarterback in the history of the NFL was a first overall pick, was a top 5 pick, or even a first-round pick. In fact, I'll make the argument, the greatest quarterback in NFL history, Tom Brady, was a 6th-round draft pick. A Hall of Fame quarterback with a Super Bowl ring and went to 3 Super Bowls is Kurt Warner, who was an undrafted free agent, and we only got a chance to see him in the NFL because of his exploits in the Arena Football League, in the World League, and we know his story, a rags to riches kind of thing. And if you're the Jets, what if Brady Cook is that guy? And again, I didn't watch him a lot in college, so I can't tell you a whole lot about him other than what I saw at training camp and what I saw in the preseason games. And it warrants a look. You never know. They say with the New York State Lottery, you got to be in it to win it. You just don't know. What's the chances of me winning anyway? Well, you have 0 chance if you don't buy that lottery ticket. Right? You have 0 chance if you don't buy the lottery ticket. So I think the Jets owe it to themselves to at least take a look and see what Brady Cook is all about. Give him a couple of games at the end of the season. I understand now you'll go to Tyrod Taylor, and we'll see, if he can get that offense going a little bit. Maybe you win a couple of games, and the long-range plan is to draft a quarterback, and hopefully the Jets get it right this time. But all I'm saying is, what if the Jets have that guy on the roster already? What if Brady Cook is a good quarterback? We just don't know. We just don't know. And it would be great if you had that, in baseball, you have a prospect that's playing at AAA or AA. In the NHL, you've got prospects playing in the AHL. Same thing in the NBA, you've got prospects playing in the G League. The NFL doesn't have that during the season. It's impossible for the Jets to send Brady Cook anywhere right now. He could play in the UFL in the spring, but it doesn't do them any good this year because you haven't had a chance to see him in a game condition. So I would love to see it happen. I would love to see Brady Cook get a chance to play, and just so you know in your head that you've given him a chance, you look at him, you judge it. Is he a guy that maybe we can take a bigger look at next year? Maybe we don't draft a quarterback. The Jets owe it to themselves to look at him and at least give it a chance. So that's what I think about that. And of course, the Giants have their own issues, and we'll get to one of them coming up a little bit later in the program. But coming up next here on the show, we are going to turn our attention to New York Yankees baseball, where we'll welcome in the Yankees beat writer for MLB, Brian Hoke. And it's always great catching up with him and talking to him, one of the really good guys on the Yankee beat. And we'll welcome him to Sports Bash when we come back right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. I'm Peter Schwartz. Phone number to call on the program is 516-465-3990. Just a quick follow-up note on the Jets content that I had in that first segment, talking about Brady Cook, but our good friend Glenn from Flushing chatted on our YouTube page, and make sure you're following along on YouTube and you can chat on the show with us there. Glenn, of course, agreeing with me, saying, let him cook. And I agree. Let him cook. Let's get a look at Brady Cook before the end of the season for the New York Jets. But we are now in the middle of hot stove season for Major League Baseball. The Yankees and the Mets, locally here in the New York area, starting to put plans together to see what they're going to do during the offseason. And on this edition of the show, we're going to focus on the Yankees. We'll get to the Mets next week, perhaps. But we always like to welcome repeat guests. And the reason why I like repeat guests here on the show, there's two things. Number one, they enjoyed themselves the last time that they were on, so they agree to come back. And number two, it strokes my ego a little bit, because when I call these people up and they say, oh yeah, we'll come back on with you. So I want to welcome back to the show one of our great guests in the past, and we're going to talk some Yankee baseball with him right now. He covers the Yankees for MLB. He is Brian Hoke. Brian, it's Peter. How are you?
Peter, I'm doing great. I'm very happy to boost your ego a little bit, but no, I'm always happy to be on with you, my friend.
Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate it. And before I forget at the end, happy holidays in advance to you and your family. So sometimes those things slip my mind before the interview is over, so I wanted to make sure I got that out of the way. So the Yankees offseason is well underway. They've already made a move, bringing back Ryan Yarbrough, but a lot of big things still to come. As the Yankees start to really, dip their toes in the water here of free agency, what's your thumbnail sketch on where the Yankees are right now and what they hope to do here during the offseason?
Yeah, it's a cool stove right now and hopefully warming up soon. Ryan Yarbrough doesn't move the needle a whole lot, but it is a smart move for them. It gives them a depth arm, and you're going to need that because this is a team that's going to start the season with not only Garrett Cole, but also Clark Schmidt and Carlos Rodon all on the injured list. So that's three pretty big names there you're taking out of the rotation. So you bring back a guy like Yarbrough, who I thought actually pitched really well out of the rotation last year. It was fun to watch. A different look, lefty with some funk and changing speeds at a time where you don't see that anymore. It was kind of a throwback to the guys we grew up watching in the 80s and the early 90s. And so that it seems like confound hitters a little bit, and then he got hurt. So that's just the first of many moves this team has to make in this offseason, because I think when I look back at 2025, they came in as defending AL champions, and they got off to a really strong start, and then it all kind of fell apart. And from midsummer on, I never felt like they were the best team in the American League East. It seemed like every time they went toe-to-toe with the Blue Jays had their number, especially up in Toronto, and then that continued into the American League Division Series. So I think that looking back at last year, they were a good team. They scored a ton of runs. They didn't have the pitching they needed, really. The bullpen was a mess, and I think that when you compare them on paper here to not only the Blue Jays, but the Dodgers, because that's the mountain you really need to climb here. Do they stack up with the Dodgers? I don't see it, and that means Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner have a lot of work to do here.
Oh, I totally agree in a lot of different areas, but sticking to the pitching for just a second, and you brought up Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon, and also Clark Schmidt being out at least for a little bit at the beginning of the season. I guess the Yankees can go in a couple of different directions here. They could go out and get another high-priced pitcher. They could supplement their rotation with a couple of, one-year deals, some lower-level guys that can kind of tread water. In your mind, which direction do they go in? Do they just look at some stopgaps like a Ryan Yarbrough, some depth guys, or do you think there's a big fish out there pitching-wise in free agency that the Yankees will target?
I think that's probably what they will do. They'll probably go with the stopgap, knowing that you have those three guys, and especially Cole and Rodon coming back. Rodon will be a little faster than all of them. But what I'd love to see them do is let's shake it up here. Let's see them bring in a big name. And I know that, look, you can't force a team to trade, and it's not a video game. You can't force it and turn off the controls. But if there's any way you can trade for a Tarek Skubal, who's rumored to be out there, or a Paul Skeens, I mean, gosh, I don't think any player in the farm system would be off limits if those guys truly are on the table. And I think Skubal's a little more realistic at this point. Would the Tigers actually want to trade him to the Yankees? Do they even have the package that's necessary? I don't have the answers to that, but that's what Brian Cashman and co. need to find out here this offseason, because I just get the sense that a lot of the fan base here, I mean, there was kind of a buzz last year coming off the World Series, even as disappointing as it was. I feel like the fans are kind of quiet right now for this point of the offseason, and there's just not a whole lot of excitement, because I think they sense what I just said, is that the Yankees largely might be content to run this back. I mean, they've identified Cody Bellinger as one of their top priorities, and he was a great player, great fit for them in so many ways, but I think they need more. I don't think that's enough, because if you run the same group back, you're probably going to get the same result next year.
Yeah, it's not enough. And even if they bring Cody Bellinger back, I would imagine, even though they qualify Trent Grisham, I would think he's going to explore some other options. So you're going to lose, those 30 home runs or so that you surprisingly got from Trent Grisham. So, to me, yes, you bring back Cody Bellinger, you try to get him back. And then I think you have to add some more. I mean, listen, that's what the Yankees of old would have done. And I know it's kind of a lazy take to say, well, if Hal went along with what his father did, there'd be a different situation. I think that's kind of a lazy take for a lot of people to have, because it's a different situation. It's a different era in baseball right now that the Yankees are going through than they did, years ago. But I don't think the Yankees should be content. I think they should operate like the New York Yankees, and if there's a player that they want and they have the resources to go get him, then I think they need to go get him, because I think that's where a lot of the fans get a little, upset now that, hey, well, if George was alive, and I know that's an easy thing to say, but there was a time where if the Yankees wanted somebody, they got him.
It is true. And I was on a different program yesterday, and somebody asked me about the likelihood of Pete Alonso crossing boroughs, and I said that's more of a George Steinbrenner move than a Hal Steinbrenner move.
Yep.
And I'll stick to that, because I think that George would have made that kind of move not just because of the value that a Pete Alonso provides, but because it would be a slap in the face to the team across town to take one of their best players and their franchise player. And my answer was,
I want that to happen. See, Brian, I would want that to happen because I live in a mixed marriage, a mixed house. So, like, if the Yankees were to ever get Pete Alonso, I'd go right immediately to Fanatics and order that Alonso jersey and wear it around the house at dinner, and I would piss off my producer Tony, who's a big Mets fan.
Right.
See, that's what I would want to do.
Right, and that's, there was value in that for George. And think about Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden or Wade Boggs. Taking the best player in Red Sox franchise history and putting him, or one of them anyway, one of the best hitters, and putting him in Yankee pinstripes. So I think there was value for that in that time, and I don't think that the current ownership really operates under that. They're more analytical and more, dollars and cents and production and value, but. So I would guess that and what I said was that if the Yankees were going to pursue a Mets player this offseason, the one I see it more likely is Edwin Diaz, because they have a clear need in the bullpen, and that's an elite arm. I know they have David Bednar plugged in a closer's role now, but you can never have enough, especially in a bullpen. And so I would think that if they wanted to bring the trumpets across the RFK bridge, that might make a little more sense, but certainly a lot to talk about this offseason.
No question about it. We're talking to Brian Hoke. He covers the Yankees for MLB, and we're talking Yankee baseball, the offseason, the hot stove, and how the Yankees are going to proceed here in the offseason. Back to Cody Bellinger, we brought up his name, and Kyle Tucker. Is there a scenario where the Yankees can have both of them? I know Cody obviously endeared himself to the fan base and also to the organization, but is there a world out here right now where the Yankees don't stop at just Cody Bellinger, that they can get Kyle Tucker in the fold as well?
I don't see it. I don't see the fit. And even though Bellinger, obviously his versatility, can play 3 different positions and as well as first base. And look, if in a perfect world, if you did put Kyle Tucker on the Yankees tomorrow and you say, all right, Trent Grisham's back also, and Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones are all knocking on the door, and what do we do with all these guys? Then Bellinger could play first base, and you figure out what to do with Ben Rice. Maybe you move him for a starting pitcher, or what. They do have options and ways to go, but I just think that the price tag is going to be too high for them to get Tucker and Bellinger. And my early read here and what I've been told is that Bellinger is the focus, and so Tucker's more of kind of, we'll monitor that and see where he goes. But they like the athleticism. They like what Bellinger added to their clubhouse. I mean, I'll tell you, from the first weeks of February last year, I walked into that clubhouse in spring training, and it felt like Bellinger had been there for 5 years. It just felt right, and I'm sure that the Yankees felt that too. I'm just the guy on the outside, kind of taking a look inside once in a while. I'm sure they sensed that, and they felt that Bellinger was such a good fit in pinstripes, and obviously he had the pedigree with his dad having played on those dynasty teams. So it just seems like it makes too much sense not to happen. I wouldn't be shocked if he winds up getting more money or a bigger offer elsewhere, but I think the Yankees are going to be really competitive in trying to bring back Bellinger.
Yeah, I think that's got to be their number one target. Another intriguing road the Yankees can go down is overseas, obviously, and every time there's a player who gets posted in Japan, all the usual suspects are named. It's the Yankees, it's the Mets, it's the Dodgers, it's the Red Sox, and there's a couple of interesting names. Let me start with the first one here, Murakami, who's the third baseman, first baseman, and I hope I pronounce his first name right, Munetaka Murakami. He's 25 years old, 8 seasons in Japan, 246 career home runs, and he seems like he's a left-handed bat. He seems like the perfect guy for the Yankees to go after if they're going to reel in somebody from out of North America. What are you hearing about him? Is there discussion amongst the Yankees about possibly bringing him in?
Yeah, I think that the Yankees are always competitive, and they try to be engaged with that Japanese market, but they haven't had a whole lot of success lately. And I can go back to, the Shohei Ohtani one.
Yeah.
They were trying to get Shohei before he went to the Angels, and I remember being with Brian Cashman that night. He was dangling off that building in Stamford, Connecticut, and he got the news that Shohei had ruled out the Yankees, and there was legitimate shock. And because they'd had success with, say, Hideki Matsui and Hiroki Kuroda and bringing in these guys over the years, but those names are from a long time ago now, and so they've tried to get Yamamoto, for example, and they made what I thought was a pretty significant bid at $300 million, and for a guy who hadn't pitched in a major league game, and then the Dodgers obviously went higher and above and beyond, and then you saw what Yamamoto did in the World Series here, and looks like it was worth the money, but none of us knew that at the time, and so the Yankees and the Mets were both going head-to-head on Yamamoto. So, I think the Yankees will be in on him. Are they going to go all in and try to get him? No, because I think that they kind of telegraphed what they were planning by trading for Ryan McMahon, who's under contract for another couple of years here. And so that's your third baseman. And defensively, he is elite. He's a terrific third baseman, doesn't hit a ton. And then you got Rice at first base, and if you're not going to catch him, which it seems like they don't want to do, he's not their catcher of the future. Right. Can he be your first baseman in the future, or are you going to have to figure out something else to do with Ben Rice? Because that is legit. It's just, where are you going to play this guy? And you can't DH him because Giancarlo Stanton's got that occupied. So the roster construction here is a real kind of headache. And look, if you put Murakami on the Yankees tomorrow, you'll figure out a spot to play him because I think he's going to be an impact major league bat. But there's a lot of reasons why they would kind of say, maybe not.
Another name coming out of Japan as a pitcher, Tatsuya Imai. He's 27 years old, pitched for the Seibu Lions with a 1.92 ERA last season. And I did see a couple of stories. I think you had one as well that links the Yankees to him. What do you know about the Yankees' connection with Imai so far?
Yeah, another one that they've scouted, and this is something that's been going on for quite some time. And I go back to Yamamoto, where they were able to put that $300 million on the table for a pitcher who had not thrown a single pitch in the major leagues, and I expect them to be in that mix here again, and maybe even to another level here because of the need that I mentioned here. We always say how you can't, if you need a shortstop in the middle of the year, you can't just go down to the shortstop store and buy one. It's hard to find one. They traded for a guy like Jose Caballero last year because they needed something to plug in there, but it's not like you can go pull one off the shelf. Here's a situation where you can do that, and you've got a starting pitcher who's factory fresh and brand new out of the box, and you can plug him into your major league rotation, and somebody's going to get a heck of a pitcher here. I have no idea where the bidding is going to go or what the price tag is going to be. I think it's going to be pretty significant based on his numbers, and I think that the fact that we've seen now these pitchers come over here and have success. I remember back in the day, remember Hideo Nomo when he came over?
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was saying, he won't be able to get major league hitters out. It's not going to work here. Or Ichiro when he came over, and people even that spring training were saying, this is not going to fly here. He's not going to be. Well, guess what? Ichiro's in the Hall of Fame. And so the time has passed where we're thinking that these guys can't compete. They can. They're on the biggest stage in the world, and we just saw it in the World Series. It works. Maybe not in every case, but I think that it would definitely be it's definitely going to wind up being a great pickup for whoever gets them.
And the Yankees obviously also keep their eye on the farm and what's going on at AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre, AA Somerset, and you brought this name up before, and I think that was be a pretty good way to kind of dot the I's and cross the T's on our discussion. But to talk about Spencer Jones, because he had such a good year in the minor leagues, AA and at AAA, and the fans were clamoring, and there were some members of the media, sports talk people, said the Yankees should bring this guy up, give him a shot, give him a look, and they obviously weren't ready to do that yet. But I know Brian Cashman said at his after the season press conference that he's on their radar. He'll get a look in spring training. From what you have seen and what you know about Spencer Jones, is he a legitimate possibility to have a role with the Yankees on opening day?
Well, he better be, because I don't know what else he needed to do at AAA. I think that if he was in any other organization or many other organizations, he would have gotten a look late in the season. But the way their outfield was going last year, you weren't going to sit Grisham, you weren't going to sit Bellinger, you weren't going to sit Judge, and you had Stanton back. And So there really wasn't a lane. I mean, look at how few at-bats Jason Dominguez got in the second half last year, and that's a guy who we've been talking about for feels like a decade now. So I think that you need to find opportunities for both those guys to play, Dominguez and Jones, and figure out what you're going to do with them. Because it's with Jones, for example, it's not like we're talking about a guy who's 21 years old. I mean, he's kind of advanced here. He's a college grad, and obviously has come up through the system. I think he's done pretty much everything you needed to see out of him. He's hit for power. You'd love to see the strikeout rate come down, but even if it doesn't, I think he's going to be an impact big league player, and he can help you in the major leagues. The defense is a plus, and he can probably play center field in the big leagues. If not, he can move over to left field. But I think that this is going to be real interesting here. And today we get the news on Trent Grisham, and he's going to make a decision. And if he's back, then that kind of complicates the setup. If he doesn't, then they'll be happy to take the draft pick. I think they'd be happy to get Grisham back anyway, if he did on a one-year deal. But I think that is going to set everything in motion here because they're still pursuing Bellinger. There's a possibility of Grisham coming back. And if both those guys come back, then where do you fit these two guys in who are knocking on the door? And I know Dominguez has had his ups and downs, but you got to give him a chance here at some point to figure out, is he part of your future? And if not, then you should move him because it's not serving anybody to just have him sitting on the bench.
Totally agree. He has shown enough flashes that I think the Yankees probably owe it to themselves to at least give him a real good, strong, long look. And like you said, if there's no room for him and he's not in their plans, they should probably move him and maybe bring a pitcher back for him. Brian, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much. Again, I'll say it again. Happy holidays to you and your family, and hope we can talk again as the hot stove season heats up.
Thank you. You too, Peter. See you soon.
Thanks. Brian Hoke from Major League Baseball. He covers the Yankees, does a great job covering the Bombers, and we'll look for his content as the days, weeks, and months of the offseason. You can't even say months because before you know it, it's going to be February, and we're going to start hearing about spring training. The Yankees going to Tampa, the Mets in Port St. Lucie. So that's all coming up really, really soon. But we thank Brian for joining us on the show. When we come back on the program, we're going to talk to Acrobat the Red Panda, and we'll also recap what happened at Madison Square Garden last night, what's hot at ticketbash.com, the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, and the Coach's Collectibles item of the week. It's all coming up when we come back right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved. In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Heating and Air Conditioning Service. I'm Peter Schwartz. We thank Brian Hoke from MLB for joining us to talk a little Yankees here on the show in the last segment. We are awaiting Red Panda joining us momentarily here on the show, and she'll be performing tonight at Madison Square Garden, and we do believe that we're going to have her on here in just a moment. But before we do that, we will tell you that we will have our regularly scheduled show this week on Thursday, and then next week, prior to Thanksgiving, we're going to be on the air on Monday and Tuesday of next week. We, of course, will not have a show next Thursday because it's Thanksgiving, so we're going to be doing our shows next week on Monday and Tuesday. Tonight at Madison Square Garden, it's the State Farm Champions Classic at the world's most famous arena at 6:30. It'll be Michigan State against Kentucky. Duke is at against Kansas at 9 o'clock. And also performing at Madison Square Garden tonight, you saw her on America's Got Talent. You have seen her around North America at various NBA and college basketball games, and she's going to be performing tonight at Madison Square Garden at the State Farm Champions Classic. We welcome to the show Red Panda. Red Panda, it's Peter. How are you?
Good. How are you, Peter?
Doing great. Thank you so much. And also congratulations on your success in your career. It's amazing how, things start out for people on those shows, whether it's America's Got Talent or, American Idol, those kind of things. Go back to that show and what that show meant for you and in getting the exposure and getting your name out and now basically being so popular, showing up at all these sporting events around the country.
I am just very excited everywhere I go, any shows I go. It's part of the I feel lucky to be to entertain people because I feel like I practice and then now I can show you what I had practice with.
So how did you get started doing your act? So you're on a unicycle and you do these tricks with the plates and stacking them. It's unbelievable to see how that has all evolved. How did you get started doing that?
Okay, it's a long story. My father is the one taught me. He came up with the idea, but not. It was a traditional acrobatic act, but they don't flip balls like upside down or and they play the balls. They place the balls on the foot, but they were stack them high in the same direction on the foot. And then after they will play, they will flip a plate and a cup, a sausage. And then we tried it, and then my dad was like, maybe we can flip. And then first time I went in, of course, second time drop. And my dad, this is possible. And then we just keep practicing, and then we got better, and then we practiced second, third balls, and fourth balls, and then five. Yes, that's how it worked.
I got to tell you, I'm amazed when I see your videos because I have enough trouble just walking down the block without tripping and falling on my face. So I credit you for being able to do this on a unicycle and doing that great. How do the crowds, when you're at these NBA games and these college basketball games, do you get pumped up by the crowds? They're there and they cheer for you, and they've got, obviously you have the music playing in the background, but how important are the crowds to you and the fans when you're performing? Do they give you that little bit extra juice to go out and continue doing what you're doing?
They always do. They always very, very, very cheering, and then they, no matter what I do, sometimes I drop, but they feel the same as they feel for me, and they feel I can feel that. I can feel them. I really appreciate all those years of support of all the fans. It doesn't matter I did well or I dropped the balls, I didn't make it, and then they were always there cheering. I'm so grateful. Yeah, they gave me those extra juice, like you said, and pumps me up. Feel like I want to do it. I will show it the best I can. Yes, I do feel very exciting. It's the excitement, and also I feel like a family. And after so many years, I miss them when I not performing. Yeah.
We're talking to Red Panda. She is a spectacular unicycle acrobat, and she's going to be performing tonight at the State Farm Champions Classic at Madison Square Garden. The first game is Michigan State against Kentucky at 6:30, and then Duke and Kansas at 9 o'clock. I have to ask you, I mean, you've performed at all these different arenas. We've seen some clips from you at a Phoenix Suns game and the Dallas Mavericks game, and tonight you're going to be at Madison Square Garden, and I'm guessing you may not have ever been there before. What's your excitement level of performing at the Garden tonight, which is known as the world's most famous arena?
I can't wait. I literally looking forward to it from yesterday. Once I landed to New York. Yes, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Yes, very, very excited. Looking forward to it. Amazing. In this Madison Square Garden performance for the State Farm Champion. Yes.
And one last thing, how can people follow you online? How can people find out where you're going to be? And do you have a website that people can go to see your work if they haven't already seen it?
Oh, my. No, I don't. I do have an agency's website, but I know that there are a lot of YouTubes out there.
Yes.
A lot of them.
So people search your name on YouTube and even just on the regular internet, videos of you will come up.
Yeah, they will be out there. A lot of them. I didn't put them on, but it's a lot out there, I believe.
Well, I can't thank you enough for spending a few minutes. Have a lot of fun tonight. Congratulations on all your success. And a little tip here: when you're at the Garden, when you're leaving, or maybe even before you get in the building, make sure you get a pretzel outside, a hot pretzel outside from one of the vendors at Madison Square Garden. It'll be a very good memory of you visiting New York City. You have to have one of those pretzels outside the Garden.
Wow, I will remember that. Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and good luck tonight, and we'll talk to you again sometime soon.
Yes, looking forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Red Panda, tremendous acrobat that you saw on America's Got Talent, and she's going to be performing tonight at the State Farm Champions Classic at Madison Square Garden, Michigan State, Kentucky at 6:30, Duke and Kansas at 9 o'clock. Speaking of Madison Square Garden, and this is the next thing we wanted to talk about. So last night at the Garden was WWE Raw. And even if you're not a wrestling fan, you know the name John Cena. Not only has he been a great WWE superstar, 17-time champion during his 23-year career, but again, even if you don't know him as a wrestler, you know the name because he's done movies, so he's in Hollywood, but he is also someone who has made a tremendous impact in the world as someone who has granted more wishes by the Make-A-Wish Foundation than anybody else. The guy never says no to anybody. And of course, here on the show, we work with the Marty Lyons Foundation, which is obviously a great organization in of itself. But John Cena is known worldwide, not just as a wrestler, but also as a movie star, and also for what he does for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Last night at Madison Square Garden was his final appearance on Raw and his final appearance at the Garden. He has 2 more appearances left for WWE at the Survivor Series, and then his final match on Saturday night's main event on December 13th in Washington. And then he's going to call it an in-ring career. He'll still be an ambassador for WWE. I'm sure you'll still see him at events from time to time, and it's only a matter of time before he's inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. But last night was his last Raw, last trip to Madison Square Garden. And if that wasn't enough of a highlight from last night, and there were other things that happened in the wrestling world last night that we could always talk about at another time, but there was a moment last night where some members of the New York Giants, who were sitting in the first row, and they were running back Cam Scattaboo and also Andre Carter, and they were there with comedian Andrew Schultz, and they got into it with the Judgment Day. Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and J.D. McDonough. We're looking at the footage from that last night, and it's all fun. It's obviously, as we always talk about, and the WWE has peeled the curtain back a lot on how it's scripted and its storylines and things like that. But as you're seeing here, Cam Scattaboo, who just underwent surgery for an ankle injury, he's in a walking boot, and he's up there in the front, and he pushes J.D. McDonough, and then he gets shoved back. Dominic Mysterio gets in there. And here's a guy that is just coming off of a significant injury, and he's in a walking boot walking into the Giant game the other day. And I get it. He loves wrestling, and he wants to be part of it. Jalen Brunson has been at a couple of WWE events at Madison Square Garden, but he's not in a walking boot. But Cam Scattaboo is. And I just thought, again, you don't want to deprive people of having fun going to these events. I just thought it was a really bad look for him to be physical, and there is a physical element to wrestling, even though it's scripted, and the outcomes are predetermined in advance. But there still is a physical nature for what these entertainers do, and he got in the middle of it last night. And how pissed do you think the Giants would be if when he got shoved back, if he got shoved back in a way where he re-injured the ankle? And again, I'm all for fun and games. I love it. I love to see people from other walks of life at games or at wrestling, whatever it might be. I just thought it was a bad look. And I also thought it was a bad look for Andre Carter, who fell asleep last week in the facility and was penalized a little bit. And he's showing up there with a championship belt over his shoulder. Probably not the best look for him either. But again, he's not injured, so he could be in the middle of it. I just thought for Cam Scattaboo it was a questionable decision to do that. And that leads us into the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We post a poll question every Tuesday and Thursday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. Giant fans, what did you think of injured running back Cam Scattaboo getting physical Monday night during WWE Raw at Madison Square Garden? And we give you two choices. That was awesome, or that was stupid. And I think it was stupid. And listen, even though I'm not a Giant fan, and you like to see these guys out there, but look, you're 2-9, and you're injured. So to me, it was just a poor decision on Scattaboo's part to agree to be part of the physical nature of the show there last night. Let's go to the phone, 465-3990, and welcome in our good friend, and I was so happy that he joined me at the St. John season opener a couple of weeks ago at Carnesecca Arena, Glenn from Flushing. Glenn, it's Peter. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks again for that wonderful time. And unfortunately, they lost Alabama.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a better thing for Rick Pitino because, you know, he wants to get in their faces and, motivate them. And we'll see what happens. They got some big games coming up in Las Vegas.
I think it's by design, Glenn.
Monday.
I think he put the schedule together by design because he'll talk about the fact that, that Arkansas game in the NCAA tournament opened up his eyes that the team needed a little different look. And I think this is by design. I don't think he minds losing a couple of these non-conference games here early in the season if it gets his team better for March and April.
Absolutely. Now, a couple things. I bear with me. Red Panda, I have to say, I just was tried juggling, and my mother-in-law is not too happy. I broke some dishes just now. But I didn't know about her, so I'm learning some stuff from you. This is
there
great.
You go. I try to be educational on the show, too.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing. Hal Steinbrenner, listen, if he's listening right now, just worry about your Grey Poupon. Make sure there's enough, British people in the stands for baseball games. But do not take Edwin Diaz, please. Because, that would be, what? After the whole Soto thing last year, if you guys got Edwin Diaz, I guess we have to live with it,
See, I would be more as a Yankee fan, and I'd like to rub it in people's faces. I think I'd rather see Pete Alonso in pinstripes.
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, that was a great spot with Brian Hoke. I didn't know the ins and outs of Bellinger being a a good fit, and
Yeah.
I guess you'll make room for Alonso. He's a DH, right? I don't think that would be a
Well,
problem.
no, I think you just put him at first base, and then
Yeah,
you worry
well, first
about
base,
finding
yeah.
a place for other people. Listen, when you're a team, you can never have enough good players. You know this, Glenn. We've been friends a long time, and we've followed our teams. And guys get hurt, and guys get into a slump. And I think Joe Torre has mentioned this over the years, and other coaches and managers have said it. You can never have enough good players. If you can add a good player to your team, you will figure out a way to get them on the field, on the court, or on the ice.
Oh, yeah. Now, I missed the very beginning of the show, so I don't know if you talked about the Islanders, baby. They're playing great.
I have not talked about the Islanders on the show. They are playing great. And I didn't do it because people call me a shill for the Islanders. That's not why I haven't brought them up yet, but I have talked a lot about the Islanders on this show, and it's not an Islanders podcast, it's a sports podcast. So I thought we would take, a show to go in some other directions, but as long as you brought it up, let's talk about it. It's been awesome
Matthew
so
Schaefer,
far.
godsend, obviously. I mean, nobody expected this. I mean, right? I mean, This guy has put the team on his shoulders. They love him. They support him. And, hey, we're winning.
Oh, yeah. There's no question about it. He's a special guy, and he's eventually going to be the reason why people buy a ticket to a game at UBS. I'm looking forward to going with my family. We're going next Wednesday night against Boston. It's Matt Barzell bobblehead night.
Nice.
So Bradley will be home from college, and the
Beautiful.
four of us are going to the game. And looking forward to that. And you and I are going to, we had so much fun at that St. John's game. I think there's going to be, we're going to have to do a redo of that night out where we go to an Islanders game too.
Oh, please, yes. I'll be in touch.
I think
now, a couple things before I go. And I want to end this with a Rob Freeman comment. Denise Jenkins, I think I'm pronouncing that. Remember, he was on St. John's. He's doing a heck of a job with the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, this guy. I mean, I don't think anybody who came over from Iona with Rick Pitino, and now he's scoring 25 points a game for Detroit, who's won 10 in a row. Unbelievable.
And it was not that long ago that the Pistons sucked.
Yeah. And lastly, this weekend, obviously, the Jets are in turmoil. New quarterback.
Yeah.
But how would that feel for you to beat the fraud and the Jets come out with a big win and blow their playoff chances?
That, you know what? I wish for health and happiness for my family and myself and for my friends. But if there was ever, if the Jets were going to win one more game this season, if they were only going to win one, could it come this week? Could it come this week? We were originally going to go to the game, and then that turned out.
Now, has there been any chatter with you and Rob about this upcoming game?
Yeah, well, he's been quiet because it's not like the Ravens have, knocked everybody's socks off this year. He's been quiet, and
But they're coming back.
I've been quiet on my end. But Glenn, could you imagine if 4 o'clock comes on Sunday and the Jets figure out a way to win that game? Could you imagine the look on my face because I'm probably going to be on my way. No, I got to work on Sunday. I'll be on my way to work at WFAN.
Oh, because that guy doesn't show up for his shift, right?
Well, that was yet in morning. That was a whole thing that went on. But listen, I'm already running overtime.
Yes, let me let you go.
Tony's got the meter on, and he gets angry if I run
Tony.
overtime.
I'm going to come by. I know where you guys are. I'll drop off some money.
Yeah, Glenn, you have to come in one time and be an FOP for an hour.
I don't know. I'm a little nervous about that, but
well, we'll feed you from the Embassy Diner if you come
okay.
in, okay.
As long as Gus is there, I'll be okay.
Absolutely. There you go, Glenn.
All right,
thank you,
enjoy
my friend.
the rest of the day.
You got it. Take care,
Let's go,
Glenn.
St. John's.
Let's go. I love Glenn is great. He's the best. He's unbelievable. What's hot? I got to run through this really, really quick. What's hot at ticketbash.com. On the sports calendar tonight, the Nets host the Celtics at Barclays Center. At the Garden tonight, as I mentioned before, the State Farm Champions Classic. Tomorrow night, it's NXT Gold Rush Pro Wrestling at the Theater. Thursday, St. John's hosts Bucknell at Carnesecca Arena. Islanders return from their road trip to host the Blues Saturday, and then the Kraken on Sunday at UBS Arena. Shows and concerts, Maroon 5 is at the Garden on Wednesday night. Z100's Jingle Ball coming up December 12th at the Garden. Stevie Nicks is at Barclays Center November 19th. The Jonas Brothers at UBS Arena November 19th, and then they come back again a little over a month later on December 21st. Tony, are you a fan of the Jonas Brothers?
Sure.
Okay. I love his sense of humor.
Are you a fan of Stevie Nicks?
No. God, no. No. Oh, I caught some flack for that one morning on Boomer and Gio about that. Remember that? I caught some flack about my dislike of because Billy Joel was supposed to do a concert with her, and I'm like, I think it was the one at MetLife Stadium. That was the one. I'm like, no, I'm not going to that one. I want to go to either the I almost said Shea, Citi Field or Yankee Stadium. I wanted to go to one of those, but of course Billy got ill. Get the best seats at the best prices with the service fees at ticketbash.com. Speaking of being ill, I'm going to be ill when I look at this picture right now. It's time for the Coach's Collectibles item of the week, and it's not because of Coach's Collectibles. It's just the item that he sent over. It's a framed Rangers Igor Shesterkin shadow box. It's Igor Shesterkin and Henrik Lundqvist. Excuse me, I forgot to write that down. How could I forget the king? Igor Shesterkin and Henrik Lundqvist shadow box with signed pucks. Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Upcoming events by Coach's Collectibles. Islanders forward Emil Heineman, Wednesday, December 3rd, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Ripett Card Company in Cedarhurst. Mets broadcasters Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, and Ron Darling, Saturday, December 6th from 11 a.m. to 12:30 at Mulcahy's in Wantagh. On Sunday, December 14th at Mulcahy's in Wantagh as well, two events. 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. A public signing with Terry Collins and umpire Tom Hallion. You got to take your shot and get there that night. Get your ass in the jackpot and get your ass over to Mulcahy's to see Terry Collins and umpire Tom Hallion. And also from 11 a.m. to 12:30 a signing with Mets third baseman Brett Beatty. For more information on all of those events, visit coachescollectiblesny.com. The John Thiessen Children's Foundation will hold their annual holiday gala Thursday, December 4th at Mulcahy's in Wantagh. Now, coming up on this Thursday show, with the way that things are going for the Jets and Giants, it's not too early. Jets and Giants fans, never too early to take a look at those top prospects for the 2026 NFL Draft. And on Thursday's show, we'll be joined by Nick Baumgardner, an NFL draft expert from The Athletic. He'll talk about the draft with us on Thursday's show. And Tony dropping the script on the floor. Sorry. It's okay. I was on a Zoom call yesterday. Yeah. And a whole pile of stuff was on a chair next to me, and it came crashing down on the floor. And there was a glass picture frame. There was nothing in it, so it was of no value. But this whole thing came right in the middle of a business Zoom, and it made this really loud noise. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell was that? It was just like a whole bunch of crap that I had on the chair, and it fell. Speaking of dropping things, I dropped my phone, and I hope it's just a screen protector on there, because then it gets a little costly. But look at that. What do you think? Take a look. Let me hold that up. What do you think? I think it's the screen protector, hopefully. Yeah, it's the screen.
I don't feel anything.
It's the screen protector. I almost showed everybody a text I just got from Glenn from Flushing. That'll do it for today's edition of Sports Bash, presented by Ticketbash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service. Thanks to my guest, Brian Hoke, and also Red Panda. And, of course, thanks to Glenn from Flushing for calling in on the show. Thanks to Tony Walker and everyone here at Governors. Thanks to our social media coordinator, Connor Kalb. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, Coach's Collectibles, and the Marty Lyons Foundation. Thanks to everyone for watching and listening to the show today. Sports Bash back on Thursday at 1 o'clock. Have a great day, everyone. Let's go Islanders tonight in Dallas.